Okay, lady, it's time for new products.
It's that new time. Time for new.
Okay, new products this week. A little bit of reminder: we are opening, and we are open, and we have been open.
And we're
Smart and
shipping.
safe. That's right. All of us at Adafruit, thank you. These are some pre-COVID photos. Thank you for your orders and more. Shipping smart and safe worldwide. We've been doing it in New York City
That's
from
us.
the beginning. First up, we have a coming soon.
Coming soon, the Cutie Pie Rev B. I think we showed this off on a previous. It's not out yet, but it's getting closer to release. We've got some beautiful silkscreen from Phil B. An optional SPI flash chip on the bottom. We'll also, of course, stock the flash chips. Castellated pads, your favorite SAMD21, reset button, and a Stemma QT connector, along with easy to plug and play USB-C. So everything you've ever wanted in a cute little board that can run CircuitPython is coming.
All right. Official pins from the Raspberry Pi Foundation.
Yeah, these are really beautiful pins. They're a little larger than you'd think. They're about the size of a quarter. These beautiful enamel pins let you show your Pi pride. Pick one up,
Nice
wear
pin.
it, put it on your backpack. All good stuff.
It's a good pin.
Nice pin. We have a kit of M3 size black nylon screws and standoffs by popular demand. So these are metric 3 size. So historically we've used, Imperial 256, 440 size screws, but we're kind of slowly adapting everything to be metric because, the rest of the world uses metric. So these are M3, so 3 millimeter size holes work best. We've got these kinds of standoffs, which have a socket and a post. We've got ones that have double socket, so you can use a screw from both sides to attach a PCB or a standoffs and PCBs. You have the standoffs in a couple different sizes. We've got super short socket up to very long socket, and then of course these extender style. We've got 2. And then we've got the screws in 3 sizes, and then a mess load of hex nuts. So really good for just attaching stuff. The reason I like the black nylon is non-conductive, so it won't mess up your circuits. It doesn't mar, so you don't have to worry about maybe damaging a trace or stripping anything. They're not as strong as steel screws, but we find that they work great for electronics and are a lot safer and easier to use than stainless steel screw kits. And it comes in a nice little latchy box.
Okay. Next up.
Next up, we have 2 variants of these UART ultrasonic sonar sensors. So these are sonar sensors that what I like about these is they're kind of durable style. Now they're not waterproof. I wouldn't put them outside in the rain. But if you're using them, in installations or robotics, you don't want to use the ones that are literally a raw PCB with a sonar sensor on it. These are nicely enclosed. This one has a horn on it, and so it can go up to 6 or 7 meters of distance. It does have a blind spot of 30 centimeters, so it's not for seeing distances less than 30 centimeters, right? You'll get an echo effect. So it has to be 30 centimeters away, but then it can go up to 7 meters. And what I like about these is they are UART. So they're very easy to use. You only need power, ground, and a UART pin. There's another pin for customization if you need it, but resetting the sensor. But it's not necessary. So you can connect this even over a USB to serial converter cable to a computer. So if you want to have distance sensing data come in into your program and you just want to read it over the serial port or Python or Ruby or whatever, you can do it. So I'm just kind of pointing it at the ceiling here, and you can see it can go a couple meters. With the cone, I think it's a 40-degree spread, so just keep that in mind. If you're trying to measure something far away, the beam spreads 40 degrees, so you'll be getting a lot of other stuff in the area. If you remove the horn, I think the degree spread is 50 or 60, so you do want to keep the horn on. It lets you get that farther distances. I think I was able to get about 6 meters in this somewhat small Manhattan apartment. It's spec'd up to 7.5, but I'll just let you know, I didn't get 7. I couldn't get 7.5. I got 6. But it's good for 6.
Okay. Do you want me to show the other one too?
Yeah, and then there's another version same kind of idea, but this is like a panel mount button style. I think this one is good to 3.5 or 4 meters or so. It still has a blind spot, so not good for less than 30 centimeters or so. But it's what I like about this is it's panel mount. It's very beautiful looking. It's elegant. You can't really tell that it's a sonar module. So especially if you want to like create installation where it detects when somebody walks in front of it or how close they are, this is a nice flush mount design. So it's a very beautiful sensor. And both of these use the same UART protocol. We have Arduino and Python example code linked from the products.
All right, next up.
Next up, we have this very inexpensive and simple to use dust sensor from Sharp. So this is the Sharp, oh boy, I keep forgetting the name because the name is quite long. It's the GP2Y 101, yeah, it's long. Anyways, I call it the GP2Y. So the GP2Y it's not what I would call a PM 2.5 sensor in the sense that it gives you particles for every size and like how many particles. Instead, it gives you an analog voltage out after you've triggered it with the LED. And it just kind of gives you like, it gives you like a rough estimation of the dust, but it's not going to tell you like how much dust at each particle size. It uses an LED and it just looks for scattering of the LED. That said, it's very inexpensive. It's like, $7 or $8 compared to a PM 2.5 sensor, which is like $30, $40, or $50. So, or even more. Calibrated ones that can go up to the hundreds of dollars. So if you're doing a science project or product where you don't need to know like how dusty it is over a certain amount, you just want to know like, look, is it dusty or not? This is a really good option because it's very simple, it's inexpensive, and Sharp makes good electronics. This is a rather old design. It's been around for quite a while. We just haven't stocked it. So it's well known and reliable. And here it's not dusty. It does require some extra components that we've included, but there's a wiring diagram in the data sheet. I will say that it's not good for use with CircuitPython or other interpreted microcontroller programming languages. I'm using here with Arduino because you need to trigger the LED and then get the reading back within like under a millisecond or so. So for that kind of timing specificity, Arduino or another C, C++, very fast, non-interpreted language is best. That's the trade-off. It's inexpensive, but you can't use it like with a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah. The processing overhead comes from somewhere.
That's right. It's like,
Yeah.
but if you do have
Nothing's for free.
Yeah, if you have an Arduino, you just want to do like a simple dust or environmental sensor, it'll also do just fine for you. And if you need to use it with a Raspberry Pi or you need more sensing elements, pick up one of the PM 2.5s. So that's the difference between the two and why the price difference is quite large.
Okay.
Okay.
Next up, the star of the show tonight, besides you, Lady A, the community, the customers, and our team is...
The MIDI Featherwing. So this is a Featherwing that adds 2 MIDI jacks by popular demand from all the musician folks. This is quite old design, but I finally finished it. This has a opto-coupled MIDI converter on it. It's designed for use with 3 volts, so you don't have to worry about, like, usually people are like, oh no, MIDI is 4.5 to 5 volts. This one's designed for 3, and I picked an opto-coupler that works at 3 just fine. You get both an input and an output. It does come as a kit, and there's a reason for that. So you get the headers, and you get the 2 MIDI jacks, and then you solder the MIDI jacks on. And you're wondering, like, well, why does it come with the MIDI jacks already assembled? Well, the reason is because some people might want to use it with 3.5 millimeter audio jacks, and that's like for the MIDI A 3.5 standard. Newer synthesizers, drum machines, sequencers are starting to use this audio cable basically as a MIDI interface cable. It's the same protocol. You're still sending 31.25 kilobaud data with 7-bit and 8-bit data mixed for commands and data. However, it uses a different cable size. So if you want to do that, don't solder in the MIDI jacks.
Yeah.
And
you do
instead,
that, or you do that.
you can do that or that.
That. And
You
that's
pick
why
up
we
the
left it up to you.
3.5. Yeah, you pick up the 3.5 millimeter audio jacks. We have them in stock. They're very standard size, and that way you can mix and match. You can have one of each other. You
We're
can
not forcing you.
no.
You get to choose.
You get to choose. All up to you.
This isn't some type of cult. You know, you got choices.
MIDI is kind of a cult. Okay, so
Yeah.
another thing to watch for the MIDI. So one cool thing is they put two LEDs on the bottom that they'll blink when you use the MIDI. So they're little passive LEDs, so you'll know when data is being sent and received. So that's kind of handy. One thing to watch out for is MIDI. This is connecting through the hardware serial pins on the Feather, and not every Feather has hardware serial available. So if you're using an ESP8266 or a Feather NRF 52, not the 840, the original NRF 52 832, or if you're using the Feather 328P, you will not be happy with using this MIDI Feather Wing because those Feathers do not have hardware serial available. It's just a trade-off of using them. The hardware serial is used for upload and debug. However, any other Feather, 32U4, ESP32,
Okay.
NR52A40, TNC, whatever, STM32, all of those will work just fine. And you can use any MIDI UART example. I linked to one in Arduino and I linked to one in CircuitPython. It's quite simple. You basically just use the hardware UART at 31.25 kilobaud and send and receive MIDI packets to your heart's content. So, all you synthesizer folks, you have it. There's no excuse now. Build your Feather synth.
That's new products.